Hi, welcome to Hyperion Hype Club. My name is McKenna and I love the Kingdom Keepers books by Ridley Pearson. Join me as we discuss this series and others published by Disney-Hyperion Books. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome to the fourth episode of Hyperion Hype Club, where we will be going over Kingdom Keepers Disney After Dark, chapters 17 through 23. So for the highlights reel for this bit of chapters, so Amanda got the recap on what happened on Small World, basically everyone's nightmare. There was a potential Maleficent sighting at the car wash with Jez acting like kind of hypnotized or something. Definitely seemed to be under maybe Maleficent's control. And Maybeck was also present at the car wash. It kind of seems like he might have a crush on Jez now. Then when the keepers are back in the park, Finn and Phoebe go through Splash Mountain to find the cloud clue. And this time they're wearing the 3D glasses so they can find it. So the cloud clue, they got the letters F, M, and E. And then when Maybeck, Willa, and Charlene went through Small World again for the sun clue with the 3D glasses, they saw YIR. And I remember they said the order of the clues was important, like sun, cloud, wind, stone. But so far from the 6 letters we have, I'm just saying, the first thing that came to my mind was that we have 4 out of 6 letters for Mickey. So, and then what are the other 2 remaining ones? R and F. So keep that in mind. And then, okay, Maybeck went off on his own. Like he left Willa and Charlene like on Small World, I think it was, which is just weird. So he's like at this point he's missing. And then the other 4 keepers go through the Cinderella Castle stone secret passageway to the throne room. And they have to go through Escher's Keep along the way. Which Escher's Keep was last accessed via a gift shop off Main Street, I believe. So how did they like get to it from Cinderella's castle and know how to get to it from the throne room? That I'm not quite sure because I don't know if Wayne like explained them all the possible ways that they could get to that secret room in Cinderella Castle. And then those 4 keepers went back to the encampment for another Maleficent encounter. And they eventually find out by going to Crazy Glaze that Maybeck is stuck asleep. And that's what eventually will be called Sleeping Beauty Syndrome. And then there was a Maleficent encounter at the skate park. That was Amanda and Finn. They're also the ones who stopped by Crazy Glaze. Through that whole thing, we learned that rhyming is a sign of witches. And we learned that Amanda has powers. So she basically lifted and threw Maleficent without touching her. She kind of like threw her arms out and like telepathically threw her into the wall at the skate park. Then Finn passes out during dinner, and this is the first time I feel like we were kind of left on a cliffhanger, or at least I was, because you guys can keep reading through the chapters, but I stop at the end of each section and don't pick it up again until after I record. So, oh well, but it's nice to be left on a cliffhanger. Now for some random remarks. I obviously totally swapped the sun and cloud attractions in my prediction because I was thinking of Small World for the clouds, no, Small World for the cloud, and Splash Mountain for the sun. But it was obviously the other way around. So I would have been looking for the wrong things on the right attractions. or just looking at everything on both, which means I still would have found the letters, but then the whole thing about the clues being in a certain order, maybe I wouldn't have found it, but maybe I still would have gotten things done. I'm just saying. And then on Splash Mountain, Ridley Pearson, love him, love his work. But he must have forgotten to take the rubber belt upward slope leading to the top of the big drop into account, which would have been an easy place to get into a log. Just putting that out there. Also, I'm very glad that an alligator animatronic didn't come for them. I thought I remembered that happening, but I also knew it was plausible that I made that up in my own head. Maybe like the first time I read this, I was like hardcore expecting this because like alligators, crocodiles were one of my absolute biggest fears as a kid. I was kind of because my grandmother used to watch the sci-fi channel a lot. There was one time when there's like a gator in a pool, and it was obviously a horror movie, and then I was just like, oh my gosh. And I always checked the stairs in their above ground pool, like behind them, before I got in the pool, because I'm like, there could be a gator. You never know. So gators became a big fear, and maybe I was just that's why I was expecting it so much, because dolls coming, the small world dolls coming to life is such like probably a thing people fear, and this was definitely something I feared. Plus, my brain probably recalls the few times that there have been a real small alligator on Splash Mountain. So Finn spoke at an unspecified volume when they first entered the throne room, and my mind immediately was like, dude, like we know there are pirates animatronics like doing sentry duty or whatever you could say in Cinderella Castle Tunnel that you passed earlier. So why would you think there wouldn't be anyone inside the castle who could have heard what you said? Like I feel like it would have been specified if he had like whispered it. Okay, took a little pause. That's what other things happen internally just with recent work stuff. So if you think it looks like I was crying, I was. All right. Not so many questions this week. So I'm probably going to spend a little more time on each question. Okay. So in chapter 18, the park was still open when the keepers crossed over. So like where did they wake up? How did people not see them? How did they get to and from the encampment without being seen? Like really they're up at the park where they're waking up when the park is still open, crossing over when the park is still open. Whatever. Like I wish they would say like woke up here, ran to the encampment as fast as I could, but also like the other DHIs probably still in the park. So then they would still get in trouble with security or people will still catch them. Like they're not, it's just like so much stuff that's left not talked about, unanswered. So it's weird. Okay. So how come the 3D glasses clues were even in the rides, even though Walt wasn't alive to make sure that they were in the rides, and like Wayne didn't know where they were or what they were or whatever. So like did Roy know? Because I feel like Walt would have trusted his brother, but like Roy and Wayne, and like that seems to be it, who Walt would have trusted to do that stuff. And also rides undergo refurbishment, like there are painting touch-ups and everything, so how did it never get painted over? Like I don't know. And I wanted to make sure, because I knew there was a chance 3D glasses were around when Walt was alive, but I just looked it up. And the first 3D viewing device, the stereoscope, was invented by Charles Wheatstone in 1838. And the first 3D movie, which is The Power of Love, came out in 1922, and it said they used 3D glasses. So 3D was definitely around plenty for Walt to incorporate that in the clues. And it's also something Walt probably figured wouldn't be worn on these attractions normally, only in order to find stuff via a different perspective. And then here's a question that I eventually answered myself. So earlier on in this section, I thought like, so Philby had time to tell the keepers that the button was at the apartment. So in my mind, I was like, why wouldn't they already know where the return button is? Did Philby move it out of move it from Cinderella Castle? But nope, turns out I was referring to Wayne's apartment above the fire station as the apartment, and the keepers were referring to the secret room in Cinderella Castle as the apartment. So I'm glad that's clarified now. And Philby's reminder to the other keepers where the return button was probably more so to remind the young readers where the return button is and why they are going to the castle later. So yeah, another shorter episode. The next section will be chapters 24 through 29. And then there will only be one more episode after that for this book. And then we have a lot more other books to get into. And once I'm done reading this book, I will finally read The Inheritance that came out this year. So the first book from the new Kingdom Keepers series. So I'm very excited about that. Also, like while I'm reading this, between reading and recording, like if I'm reading anything else, I'm reading, it's gonna sound so weird, but I'm reading Angus Long's Simple Frontal Snogging, mainly because I have a box of just like stuff to take to Goodwill or some other donation place, and I'm trying to get some books off my bookshelf. So I picked that because I'm like, I'm not gonna want to read it again. I'll probably just donate it. So yeah, I'm reading that right now, and I've seen the movie, which is Angus Long's Imperfect Snogging, so many times that I am literally reading the book in those actors' voices. So like my jazz is really airy and stuff, which I think just brings an extra like fun element to it. Cause also like the British say stuff that's like different than us. Like they'll say like stupid, which just sounds like so much more emphasis than stupid or whatever. But yeah, I just think that it's fun. But yeah, let me know what books you're going to read once you finish the first book in this series. If you're just gonna keep going with all the other books and just catch up with me another time for your thoughts and opinions, just comment down below what you're planning, what your reading plans are, any books that are on your long time to read book list. Yeah, let me know. Oh, and I will read the third Percy Jackson book. I will definitely do that because I'll be visiting my parents and the books are in my little sister's room at their house. So yeah, that is it for this week. I hope you guys are enjoying the book so far. We're almost there. I'm pretty sure the climax will probably be in this next section, and hopefully we find out the wind and stone clues, and maybe we'll see if my Mickey prediction was right, because like I've said multiple times before, it has been over a decade since I've read this first book. So yeah, I'm excited. See you guys next week. Bye. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and follow. Also, please chat with me and other members of this club in the comments of the YouTube video. My other social media information and a link to the Long Distance Sisters podcast I am also part of will be below. Back in a whack.